In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the use of the subtotal feature in Excel. I'm using Excel 2016, although it should look similar in older versions. And what I'm going to do for my first example is I want to sum or subtotal the revenue based on region. So how much revenue has been generated by the North region, how much revenue has been generated by West, Central, South, and East. The subtotal feature is under the data ribbon, so I'll click on that and it's over in the outline group. Right here is the subtotal button. And when you understand how subtotal works, you'll recognize that the first thing you need to do a subtotal is to sort the data on the column or field that you're going to subtotal on. And I'll demonstrate why right now. I'll hit the subtotal button. Up comes a dialog box, and the first thing it asks is at each change in, and it's asking which field are we going to do the subtotal on. So right now I mentioned region. We're going to do region. So what does this mean? At each change in region that we're going to sum, in this case we're going to sum the revenue. Literally what that means is it runs through the rows, and every time the region changes, for instance from north to west, it's going to add a row and sum the revenue. And then the fact that it changed from west to central, it's going to add a row and sum the revenue. Central to west, it'll add a row and sum the revenue. So we want one subtotal for all of north, all of west, all of central. Because that's how it works, the very first step in doing any subtotaling is to sort on the column that we're going to subtotal on. So now when I hit A to Z, the sort on the data ribbon, and sort it, all of my central regions are together. And if I scroll through the data, whoops, too far, someplace here I transition from central to east. Right here at row 200. So now at each change in region, well, here's a change. So I'm going to get a subtotal for all of my central, and then it'll scroll down, and when it transitions from east to north, I'll get another subtotal right there. So let's go ahead and try it. I'll get the control home key at the top of my data. I'm going to hit subtotal. At each change in region, I'm going to sum. And by the way, I don't have to sum. I can count, average, max, min, product. There's all sorts of different functions here, some statistical functions, but I still want to sum. And I can sum more than one column. I want to sum revenue in this case. I could, if I feel like it, sum the cost of goods sold and the quantity at the same time. So it just depends on your needs. Right now, we'll just stick with revenue. We have no current subtotals, so that checkbox is kind of pointless. And then we're going to put our subtotal below the data, and I'll hit OK. So when you do a subtotal, you end up with some outline buttons over here in the far left of your data. What those allow me to do is, if I click on 3, it is already selected. It's showing all of your detailed data. If I click on 2, it collapses all of that and now shows me the regions, and I'll expand this column, the revenue generated for each region. With these plus signs, I can expand the data for one particular region. So in this case, east, but central still collapsed. I hit the 2 again and it brings it all back, and then 1, of course, is just the grand total. So there's our subtotals by region. I'll move to the top. To get rid of subtotals, if you've done what you have found the data you want, I can click on the subtotal button, and right here is remove all. So I hit that, it gets rid of the subtotals, and it gets rid of the outline buttons on the far left. For this next example, let's do a double subtotal. So in this one, I want a subtotal by customer and by product. So for instance, let's take Kavanaugh's Pub. What's the revenue generated for Indian Pale Ale in Kavanaugh's Pub? How about Dark Lager, English Pale Ale, Pilsner, Light Lager in Kavanaugh's Pub? So I want a subtotal, in essence, by customer, by product. And again, we'll sum the revenue. All right. Now, because I want to do a subtotal basically on 2 different columns, by customer, by product, I have to sort those columns in that same fashion. So in other words, I need to run up here to this sort button, and I have to sort my data by customer. I have to add a level, and then by product. So now I'm going to get one customer, and within that customer I'll get my products sorted. So A to Z is fine. I'll hit OK. So here's my ace of clubs, and then within the ace of clubs there's all my loggers, all my pale ale, all my India pale ale, light loggers, etc. So now I have to do the subtotal twice. First I hit subtotal. At each change in, and this time it's going to be customer, every time the customer changes. So each change in customer, I am going to sum, and again we'll just do the revenue column. So I'll hit OK. It did it. I have my outline values over here to the left. I can hit 2. This is the revenue by club. But remember, I want by customer, by product, get the revenue. So I need to do more. I am going to do the subtotal again. And this time it's going to be with the product column. So at each change in, I will run over to product. I am going to sum. That's going to be the revenue. But right here, now this is important, I do not want to replace the current subtotal, so I have to make sure to turn that off because I want to keep the customer subtotal, but I want to add this new subtotal, so do not replace. Now when I hit OK, Excel added another outline level. So it used to be 1, 2, 3, now has a 4. So when I hit the 3, I am seeing the different product subtotals for each customer. So there they are for that customer, and then of course if I hit the 2, I'll just get the customers. 1 is the grand total, 4 is all the detail. So to do a double subtotal, the first step is you have to sort your data on those things that you're trying to subtotal on both columns, and then you have to subtotal twice. In this case it was first on customer, then on the product. And again, after you've collapsed this and got the information you want, if you want to get rid of your subtotals, I go back to the subtotal button, and here's the remove all. And we're back to our original data. And that's it for subtotals, except I do want to mention one thing. If your data is an Excel table, right now I'm just a normal range of data, but let me run to insert, and I'm going to create a table out of this data. I got to hit cancel because I didn't mean to select anything. Now I'll hit table. It's grabbing all 1,000 rows. Everything has headers. I'm going to hit OK. So now this is an Excel table. When I go to data and look at subtotal, it's grayed out. So subtotal feature only works when your data is a normal Excel range. It cannot be an Excel table. If you have an Excel table and want to do a subtotal, then real quickly I can convert it back to a normal range by going to Design, Convert to Range, or I can right-click, Table, Convert to Range. Either one will bring it back. So once you've converted your data to a range, hit OK, yes, convert to a normal range. Now when I go to Data, subtotals are available. So that's it. Thanks for watching.